Namaste and welcome to the learning series of ENGLISHWOOD. Unit 4, Attitudes and Reactions. An attitudes is a way of thinking about something. अर्थात् प्रवृत्ति भनेको कुनै चीजको बारेमा तपाईको सोच्ने तरिका। यो एउटा कुनै चीज अथवा कुनै व्यक्ति वस्तुमाथि तपाईको दृष्टिकोण, तपाईको प्रवृत्ति भन्ने जनाउँछ। A reaction is a response to a situation or activities. Reaction यानी प्रतिक्रिया भनेको कुनै अवस्थामाथि, कुनै चीजहरुमाथि, कुनै क्रियाकलापमाथि हाम्रो रिएक्सन यानी कि हाम्रो प्रतिक्रिया, what we say भन्ने जनाउँछ। So this unit presents the language used for telling people what we think about something, someone, that is expressing our attitudes and reactions. त्यसकारणले यो पाठमा हामी हाम्रो प्रवृत्ति, हाम्रो दृष्टिकोण, हाम्रो प्रतिक्रिया, हाम्रो रिएक्सन चाहिँ हामीले कुनै चीज, वस्तु, कुनै थिङमाथि कस्तो देखाउँछौं, त्यो कसरी व्यक्त गर्ने भन्ने हामी यस पाठमा अध्ययन गर्छौं। The lesson has following important ideas: words in expressing attitudes and reactions. If there is one thing, the way judging characters. 4.1 and 4.2 Expressing attitudes. In order to express our attitudes, we use the following language structure. For example, we want to express our attitudes about football, World Cup football, then we can say in the following ways. Number 1, World Cup football fascinates me. This structure is noun phrase, World Cup football is noun phrase, plus fascinates is verb 5. We can use verb 1 or verb 5 here, plus me. So this is the first structure we can express our attitudes towards something, here World Cup football, and it is well known. NP means noun phrase, words with noun, and here is World Cup football is NP. Number 2, I am excited by World Cup football, or I get excited by World Cup football. The structure is I am or I get plus verb 3 plus by plus noun phrase. It's a passive structure. So get plus verb 3 or auxiliary verb plus verb 3 is a passive structure, and here basically we use present simple passive. And third structure is I find World Cup football really exciting. So structure is I find plus noun phrase plus adjective. Adjectives are mostly used to express attitude. This section gives you attitude verbs and changing them into adjectives, because we should know verbs, attitudes, verbs which express the attitudes. Then we should also learn to change them in adjectives. Sometimes in the examination also asks change them into adjectives. So it is very important that a student learn these verbs and adjectives. For example, 1, depress, adjective is depressing. Offend, offensive. Impress, impressive. Excite, exciting. Interest, interesting. Attract, attractive. Irritate, irritating. Confuse, confusing. Shock, shocking. Upset, upsetting. Surprise, surprising. Astonish, astonishing. Amuse, amusing. Terrify, terrifying. Annoy, annoying. Disgust, disgusting. Bore, boring. Fascinate, fascination. Fascinating. Embarrass, embarrassing. Amaze, amazing. So for example, you can say, oh, World Cup football really fascinate me. Oh, I find World Cup football fascinating. So we are using the verb as well as adjective. Okay, you can say, oh, something excites me. Oh, it's really exciting. Something like that. Practice with verbs and adjectives. This is also related to exercise 4.2, but it can be asked in other ways too. For example, answer the following questions in 3 ways to express your attitudes. For example, if A asks a question, what do you think of slim people? Then B might answer, slim people attract me. One type of structure. Or I am attracted by slim people. Or you can say, I find slim people really attractive. Similarly, next question. What do you think of people who swear? People who swear irritate me. Or I get irritated by people who swear. Or I find people who swear irritating. So in this way, we have used a structure as we learned in the previous slide, that slim people attract me is noun phrase plus attitude verb plus me. Okay, noun phrase slim people and attitude verb is attract me. So then I am plus verb 3, present participle, present simple passive form. Then I find slim people really attractive. Attractive is adjectives. In this way, we learn the importance of adjectives too while expressing our attitudes or reactions. So I suggest students to learn by heart any one of the structure. More practice related to exercise 4.2 or workbook 1. For example, express each of the sentences in another way to express your attitudes. So this explanation part means you have to listen my audio for further clarification. That incoming slides also or incoming videos, if there is explanation, that means you are listening. All right. So here, this question can be also asked as rewrite the following sentences so that they have the same meaning, beginning with the given words. For example, they will give you I get, then this underlined words fascinated by the people who speak several languages. This is the underlined words you have to complete. So similar case. Now, 1, people who speak several languages fascinate me, right? So the another way to express is I get fascinated by the people who speak several languages. Or I find people who speak several languages really fascinating. So you can just choose any one. Similarly, I find horror films terrifying. So your answer is either horror films terrify me or I get terrified by horror films. So remember 3 structures. One with I find, okay, another with starting from noun phrase horror films, another is I get with the passive form. If such questions asked, you can use other forms of expressing attitudes too. If it is asked freely, it doesn't mean that you have to use only these 3 structures. You can say in another ways also. For example, I get amused by the people who with different facial expressions. So answer is I find people with different facial expression amusing, right? Or people with different facial expressions amuse me. Or if there's one thing that amuses me, it's people who have different facial expression. We're learning in the coming slide. Or the thing that amuses me about them is the way people show different facial expressions. So this is also we are reading in the coming slides. So facial expression like Charlie Chaplin, different structures. 4.4. If there is one thing. This section presents the use of relative clauses for expressing an opinion about something in a strong way, यानी कि अलि बढी चाहिँ जोरदार तरिकाले बढी एम्फसाइज दिएर हामीले कुनै चीजको बारेमा हाम्रो एटिट्युड्स हाम्रो रिएक्सन्स देखाउनु छ भने we use if there is one thing. Number 1, subject relative clause with that. If there's one thing that upsets me, it's people who always talk nonsense. यदि कुनै चीज छ भने मलाई अपसेट गर्ने कुनै चीज छ भने त्यो हो मान्छेहरू जसले सधैँ नॉनसेन्स टक नचाहिने चीजहरू मात्र कुराकानी गर्छन्. So in this way you can express your attitudes, or it's also a kind of reactions, by saying that if there is one thing that upsets me, it's people who always talk nonsense. So structurally you can say if there is one thing plus that plus verb 5 plus me plus its people plus who clause in present tense, right? So if there is one thing that makes me happy, it's people who talk positively. This is also same structure. Another is object relative clause without that. So if there is one thing I dislike, it's people who talk nonsense. That means if there's one thing plus I plus verb 1 plus its people plus who clause in present. Another example, if there's one thing I adore, it's people who talk positively. So you have to remember that either we use with that, okay, or we use without that. Although it is not very important to remember for you the subject relative clause and object relative clause, just remember we use with that, okay, one structure. Another structure is without that, and you have to remember one of the sentence structure. If there is one thing, more explanation. For your convenience, if there is one thing, structure can be learned by breaking it into 4 parts. Number 1, if there is one thing. Number 2, that plus verb 5 plus me. For example, that annoys me. Or I plus verb 1, I detest. Okay. So basically you are expressing your attitudes, therefore we use I. Third is its people. Fourth is who clause. For example, we speak rudely. So in order to solve the exercises, students should learn by heart 2 sentences. So learn these sentences by heart. Remember it. Make it your own sentence. Okay. So number 1, if there's one thing that annoys me, it's people who don't speak politely. So please learn it by heart. If there's one thing that annoys me, it's people who don't speak politely. So drill it, right? Next is if there's one thing I dislike, it's people who are not polite. If there's one thing I dislike, it's people who are not polite. Please remember these 2 sentences. So on the basis of these examples, you can solve other exercises. Practice concerned with exercise 4.4 and workbook 2. I already told you students should learn by heart 2 sample sentences that you have done by pausing the video. Next, who clause is a general statement in present tense. How it is in present tense, I'll tell at the end. For example, your question is express your attitudes beginning with if there is one thing. So question example, people who break promises make me angry. Now you have to decide either you have to use that clause or without that clause. That means you have to think if there's one thing that makes me angry, or if there is one thing I make. So you have to decide, right? And find out the attitude verb. Okay, so you have to find out attitude verb or verb phrase. For example, in this sentence, people who break promises make me angry. Here, make me angry is attitude phrase, right? So you have to pick up that then you can use like this. If there's one thing that makes me angry, it's people who break promises. Question number 2. I loathe people who ring me up early in the morning. Your answer is, if there's one thing I loathe, you have to choose the adjective verb. I loathe is already there. So if there's one thing I loathe, it's people who ring early in the morning. Here, who clause omits me. That means you don't say people who ring me early in the morning, but you simply say people who ring early in the morning. So you have to generalize the who clause, and who clause is general in the present simple tense. Who ring early in the morning, right? We don't say who rang, okay, who played, okay. So it's not like that.